Every time you talk about art, it is highly likely the Big Apple will come up some way or another. As soon as you approach the city, you begin seeing curiously artistic things, like this stained glass water tank by artist Tom Fruin.
Immediately after we jump on our first subway, we notice these cartoonish boots a young man was wearing. New York-based art collective known as MSCHF, pronounced Mischief, is behind the big red boots that have made their appearance all over social media. From Fashion Week to getting hundreds of millions of views on TikTok, these boots are all the rage in New York City. The aesthetic of the boot has been compared to the footwear of popular anime character Astro Boy, as well as Dora the Explorer's sidekick boots. They retail at $350 and sell out in minutes when the website is not crashing due to the sheer volume of traffic.
As we start making our way through the city, we're immediately bombarded with all types of artistic expression that stimulate our senses.
Now we're going to the MoMA.
The first installation we see, unsupervised, is of course AI-based, and it's from artist Refik Anadol. He trained a sophisticated machine learning model to interpret over 200 years of images from MoMA's past and present art collection pieces. Besides the art database, Anatol incorporated site-specific input from the surrounding environment, like the museum's lobby, changes in light, acoustics, movements, even the weather, in order to affect the continuously shifting imagery and sound. He is looking to intertwine real art with the virtual, a subject that is very controversial in the art world, but fascinating nonetheless. The work is encoded in the blockchain, like an NFT, which stands as a public record of Anatol's work. This was truly fascinating to watch.
The museum has a pretty cool interactive area for kids, from creative drawing projects to a video recording studio, which of course we wasted no time playing with. We then made our way to a fantastic exhibit of artist Georgia O'Keeffe. She is recognized as one of America's most important and successful artists, known for her paintings of New York skyscrapers, as well as her equally radical depictions of flowers and desert landscapes during her trips to New Mexico. She loved to revisit and rework the same subjects, creating fabulous series that played between observation and abstraction.
Did you know that Georgia O'Keeffe was the first woman to be given an independent exhibition at the MoMA?
The exhibit, New York New Publics, showcases 12 projects across the New York metropolitan area that critically engage with the material and social context to propose ways in which architecture can serve as a public amenity. Bring together a wide variety of design proposals, ranging from waterfront parks, public pools, and cultural spaces to community gardens, subway stations, and virtual monuments. There are Picassos everywhere, from Chagall to Liechtenstein to Matisse. Maya, did you know that Matisse suffered from terrible arthritis? So he would have sometimes to lay down on his bed, and he would use long sticks, like broomsticks, and then tie the paintbrushes to the end so he could be able to paint.
That is so crazy.
It's crazy, and it's incredible that he would create such beautiful pieces, right?
Super beautiful.
From the simplicity of Rothko to the graphic nature of Warhol to the organized chaos of Pollock, the MoMA is a true overload of art inspiration. This curious interactive display would have you dial a number where the person answering read you a poem. I think Maya was more fascinated by the old rotary phone than by the actual poem.
Every sidewalk is full of artists, galleries, and creative things all around. We walked into the store Uniqlo, which, fun fact, is actually pronounced Uniqlo in Japanese, and found this cool area where they do custom t-shirts. You can pick from a library of their designs or upload your own. They even have displays of shirts from artists all over the world. As we keep exploring, we reach the spot where a cool artistic mystery lies.
Back in 2021, Tiffany launched an ad campaign featuring the quartet of Beyoncé JC, 128-carat diamond, and a rarely seen Jean-Michel Basquiat painting called Equals Pi that had recently been acquired by the jewelry brand's new owner. And it set off a social media storm involving a multiplicity of debates. In an interview, the VP of Tiffany's suggested that perhaps the shade of blue used as the painting's background was, in fact, a homage to Tiffany and its signature color, generally referred to as robin's egg blue. He was quoted as saying, "We don't have any literature that says he made the painting for Tiffany, but we know a little bit about Basquiat. We know his family. We did an exhibit for his work at the Louis Vuitton Foundation a few years back. We know he loved New York and that he loved luxury and he loved jewelry. My guess is that the blue painting is not by chance. The color is so specific that it has to be some kind of homage." What do you think? The evening came and on we go to Broadway. We went to see the musical Hadestown, which tells a modern version of the ancient Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. The interior of these theaters are beautiful. This one, with an Italian Renaissance style, framed a fun evening perfectly, and the musical was magnificent.
The next morning, we started the day downtown at the World Trade Center area. Starting with the subway station, the whole area is surrounded by colorful murals and graffiti art. It seems like no nook or cranny could escape the creative fury of the artists. A sight we hadn't seen before was the Oculus, a transportation hub and indoor mall designed by Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava. Its design resembles a dove leaving a child's hands, which is cool, but to me, it looked more like a skeleton of a huge whale.
Inside the mall, I was captivated by the Strangers Story Project. It consists of a collection of over 85,000 anonymous true stories written as journal entries by passing strangers. Back in 2009, Brandon Doman started setting up pop-up booths where people can discover stories and, if they choose, share their own. None of them are submitted online or through the mail. Each one is from a passerby he meets and takes the moment to share it with him on the spot. The stories come from all ages and walks of life, with the mantra, "Do you ever see a stranger and wonder, what is it like being you?" Doman has been able to collect a wonderful array of handwritten letters full of captivating personal stories and drawings. On we go to Wall Street, where we pay visit to Charging Bull, the famous bronze statue by Italian artist Arturo Di Modica, who created it right after the 1987 Black Monday stock market crash. The beautiful Trinity Church was built back in 1698 in Gothic Revival style, but was destroyed by the Great New York City Fire of 1776 and erected again in 1846, where it was the tallest building in the U.S. until 1869. This church also served as a refuge for people during 9/11, as well as to protesters of the Occupy Wall Street movement.
Another subway takes us now into Washington Square Park in the Village. This place is always bustling with music, artists, street vendors, and pizza. Beautiful expression can surely be demonstrated in the culinary arts. Yummy! As we stroll by lovely parks and charming streets with our bellies full, we reach the neighborhood of Chelsea. We immediately go into the Chelsea Market, which is housed in the old National Biscuit Company, what we know as Nabisco, and was the site where the Oreo cookie was invented. The market is full of restaurants, cafes, and retail stores.
We wanted to finish up our trip walking through the Highline Park. This cool space is an elevated linear park created on a former New York Central Railroad line here on the west side of Manhattan. The park has gorgeous views of the city, and the boardwalk takes you through trees and flower beds just as if you were at a traditional park. There are, of course, lots of sculptures, murals, and tons of other colorful art. The architecture of the buildings surrounding the park is amazing, presenting a contrast of the modern with the traditional. As we take our final subway ride and start making our way back home, the city shares one last burst of art, and I can't help but wonder how many artists before us left a mark in this incredible city. From street performers to sculptors to graffiti artists, from painters to mosaic makers to architects. The art scene in New York is full of surprises in every corner, leaving you enthusiastic about your next trip and seeing what new mysteries it will hold.